Good evening. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Trey Olds Radio Show. This is Trey Olds. Thank you for joining us today. Today, my special guest is radio show host and disc jockey, Mr. Ted Yates. Thank you, and join us in a minute. Okay, my first question to you is, how did you get started in the radio industry? What sparked your interest in radio?
Well, first of all, Trey, it goes back many years to my days, even before high school, when I was always interested in radio by listening to the announcer, and I saw them doing a show live down in Toronto area where I grew up. I grew up in Toronto, and at the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition, they had the top radio station there broadcasting, and I thought, that looks interesting. I'd like to do that. And from then on, I started buying records and made up my own charts, and also in high school handed the charts out with my friends, a weekly chart that I had printed off and had like a radio station in my basement, imaginary radio station. But any of the students could call up on a number that was on the chart for their request, and I would play it for them from there. And then I started renting a hall in my teenage years and having dances every Friday night. And we used to get a couple hundred kids out to that, so that was a lot of fun. And then someone I got to know in the Toronto radio business helped me make my audition tape, which got me my first job in radio, and that was back in 1973. I worked at quite a few stations since then, and after all this time, 46 years, I'm still in radio now and on the air 6 days a week.
And that's 92.9 The Grand, right? Which you're on now.
Yes, that is correct, yes. And you can listen live online anytime from anywhere in the world at 929thegland.fm.
So, what do you do on that? Do you play music? Do you interview people? What is your routine on that show? The show you do?
It is a music show, Trey. It's the greatest hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
a radio music show. So I just do quick bits, do some music trivia with the songs, connected with the songs, and in some cases what the latest news is on the artist, concerts, and new albums or whatever, but also throw in some trivia from the past. But even though the music is of the past, I also keep it present in the content, and I always want to use information that I think that our listeners would be interested in hearing about. So it's a music-intensive format. And in the past, at radio stations I worked at, I've been the program director and music director, but at this one, I've reached a stage in my life where I'm happy to just be the radio announcer and just play the music and do my bit on air, and not necessarily be involved with the programming part of it all.
Yeah. See, when I first started my show, I played music. Then after that, I started interviewing people. But that was fun to do, play music, you know. People send in requests, you know. Yeah.
And I've interviewed a lot of music artists through the years, and that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. My next question to you... Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Trey.
My next question to you is, what is the most challenging part for you being in radio? What do you find is the most difficult part being in radio for you?
For me, it's not so much difficult, but it's always, okay, what am I going to talk about today? Looking for material each day that's fresh, and it's up to date. You know, for example, here it is on the weekend. I'm thinking of Monday morning show. What can I see? And a lot of the best material, I think, is also personal observational materials. Material you see, and it could be something to do with, you know, even the fact that, you know, the grass is growing greener because of all the rain we've had in this area, and just personal observation. And, this would be interesting to talk about. And on Monday, of course, talk about, how was your Mother's Day yesterday, which is tomorrow. But depending on, it's just something, just be topical and be current as much as possible and be relevant to your listeners.
Yeah.
Talk about what they want to hear about. not what you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, because the listeners, your fans, your listeners, that's what make the radio show. You have to listen.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all about the listeners, and I think it's always important to never lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My next question to you is, what is your advice to people who want to pursue a career in radio? What is your advice to people who want to get in radio like you did?
I would say that, and I think everybody that's in radio loves what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really important. It's important to get into a job that you really enjoy doing. I think it's very important to start off and learn as much as you possibly can in all the different areas. Be a multitasker. Don't just specialize or don't just do one thing, but try to do as many things as you can and see which ones you like the most, and do something that makes you stand out from all the others, something that makes you special, something that you'll be known for perhaps. When you're on the radio, what separates you from all the others? You've got to be better, you've got to work harder, and always be looking for material that's usable, and also do it in a very concise manner. So be prepared and be knowledgeable about what you're going to talk about before you talk about it. So, in other words, do show prep. It's very important.
Yeah. You have to know what you're getting into.
Yes, and I'm not saying everybody's going to be on the air that's in radio. Whatever you do, whether you're maybe a copywriter, writing creative copy for the radio station, or being in the promotions department, just work as hard as you can and learn as much as you can and better yourself constantly so that you can, have a goal of, if you want to be in a major market, for example, or a radio station, how are you going to get there? Well, you're going to get there by learning new things and being the best at what you can do, so you can attract others to hire you in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to get your voice out there, get yourself out there, make plenty of connections in the industry, because that...
Yes, networking is so important too, yes, always. In any job, I think.
Oh, yeah. And if you enjoy it, it's very rewarding in the end, if you don't give up, I'm sure there's times where you'll, second doubt yourself, but never give up, never quit.
Yeah. The hardest part, I guess, for many starting out in the business or trying to get into the business is a hard part sometimes. But just keep trying, keep plugging away, and find different angles on how to get in. And once you're in, then you have to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going back to your radio show, you have an interesting genre of music, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That was some good music back in the day, and I wish that would come back, because that is great music.
Yeah. Well, we try to keep it alive on the radio. It was an exciting period of time in music, and I know a lot of younger people are really into that music as well. It's music that was popular in many cases before they were born, but a lot of them love, some of the classic hits, the classic artists. The Beatles are still popular.
Oh, yeah.
In so many ways, and their records are selling, and a lot of these groups, are still touring from the 60s. It's just something that has stood the test of time and has survived through the years, and that says a lot for the powerful music of that era of the 60s and the 70s, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's slowly coming back, with radio shows like your show, reviving it, and it's... Music back then was much more real, it came from life, Well, today, music...
You're right.
Yeah.
It was less, it wasn't overproduced like it can be sometimes now. And a lot of the artists wrote their own material, too, which sometimes there's artists that don't write the material. Elvis never really wrote his own material, but he was great, and became an icon. I mean, the Beatles wrote their material, and they're known for that as well. And it's great that that generation of, and we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Woodstock this summer.
Mm-hmm.
That was a monumental event, the most celebrated outdoor rock concert of all time. That although they want to try to repeat and celebrate it, it will never be the same as the original was. 3 days of love, peace, and togetherness. It was a different time.
Yeah. And the world, it changes. Music and radio, it changes, with the internet these days, But it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but,
Yeah, the great thing about the internet, too, is you get all the information that you want instantly at your fingertips. There was a time where you had to rely on print, whether it be a newspaper or other sources of information, but you just couldn't know how to get information right now the way it is. I mean, and it's true in information of everything right now. I mean, it's pretty amazing. We have all the tools now at our fingertips, where before it was tougher to find all this information. And if you look at a book, for example, back then, a lot of the information was dated. When you think about encyclopedia books back in the day, encyclopedias were dated in many ways after a few years. Now you can go on and on the internet, and you can find out about anybody and the information that's right up to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure the world will, with the internet, it will keep constantly changing, and we'll do our best to keep up with it.
Yeah, the technology today is very tough to keep up with because it's changing so rapidly. I mean, it's changing faster now in, let's say, a 3-year period than it did in a 15-year period before. It's just moving faster and faster, and it's tough to keep up with the technology. But as long as you have the basics, that's good. I mean, you Google something, it's, for example, that's what you need to do. Just type it in and see what comes up and see what choices you want to go with. There's so many choices, too. You have to make sure that source is a credible source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be credible and the real deal,
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ted, thank you for letting me talk to you. And before I let you go, can you repeat the website where people can listen to your show? Is it 92.9 thegrand.fm? Is that right?
Yes. Just say 92.9 thegrand.fm.
Awesome. Well, Ted, thank you for letting me talk to you and hearing about your career, and thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you, Trey, and all the best to you and everything that you do. Thank you for calling. I appreciate that.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Trey.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
And that was radio show host and disc jockey Mr. Ted Yates. Thank you for listening today, and join us in another hour when I interview radio show host and actor Mr. Larry Van Nuys. Thank you, and God bless you all.